What's going on, guys? Unofficial MCU here, hope you're all doing well, and in today's video we have our long overdue, of course, once again, Loki episode 5 breakdown review, theories and predictions of the newest episode and what we could expect here for the season finale of the show as well. So without a further ado, let's just jump right on into it. Of course, guys, there are going to be spoilers here for the newest episode of Loki as well as all the previous episodes. Of course, that is obvious by this point, but hey, I'm just going to throw it out there, of course. And of course, this was, of course, one of the most mind-boggling and just blown away episodes of Loki. Once again, they somehow managed to pull this out with every single episode for Loki, and I think a huge thing that plays a huge role into the whole idea of making all these episodes just so sweet and awesome with each and every one is the fact that there's only 6 episodes, so they're a little bit on a time crunch and they really can't throw in, I guess, quote-unquote filler episodes into the show whatsoever, even though it's just kind of something that Marvel hasn't really done all that much with their shows as of right now that have been coming out here on Disney Plus. I mean, taking a look at WandaVision, maybe it had like one filler episode, maybe that was like the first episode, but even then it kind of played some sort of significant role and kind of, I guess, spiraled and snowballed effects into something greater and into something larger. Taking a look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier, once again, I just really can't think of any filler episodes all that much for the overall show. I mean, they all play some sort of significant role that kind of plays out into the whole season finale of the show, and that is the exact thing that they have been doing with Loki, of course, with each and every episode just being absolutely amazing. And of course, this whole overall episode explained a lot of new questions there that we had there for the previous episode. Of course, that's something that this Loki show has been doing a lot of, is giving us questions and then just answering them in the next episode, which is honestly really, really nice, because I cannot wait any longer and I have so many different questions, and like all of us do, of course, we all know that the timekeepers aren't really the timekeepers of who we exactly think they are. And furthermore, I think Renslayer is actually playing dummy, and I think that she does know who is in charge of the TVA. Of course, I've made my theories and suspicions and, I guess, theory videos there on the channel here that it is very well Kang the Conqueror, seeing that in the comic books that they are actually lovers. Aside from that, there really aren't too many other questions, I guess, really, for the overall show. I mean, they're kind of figuring out who is really in charge of the TVA and furthermore actually bringing them down. But furthermore, I think that this whole overall show is going to give us some sort of plot twist there at the end of the show, kind of like WandaVision almost did to an extent there, and really, I guess, kind of give us the whole idea that Sylvie maybe actually isn't who we think Sylvie actually is. I think that she's very well going to turn on Loki, and that's something that we've really been seeing awkwardly. It's almost kind of cringy to an extent, to be completely honest with you guys, in my own personal opinion and thoughts and review here, is that relationship, kind of that lover relationship there between Loki and Loki, Sylvie and Loki, it's just kind of messed up and just kind of cringy and weird. It doesn't work because it's not supposed to work exactly, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense all in all. But we really do see some sort of relationship there kind of building up between the two characters, and that's something that Marvel is just going to pull right underneath our feet there, pull the rug right underneath the bottom of our feet there and kind of trick us, and actually have Sylvie do something bad at the very end of the next episode, I feel like, or sometime in the next episode. She's just going to do something bad and actually betray our beloved characters of Mobius and Loki. Hopefully we are going to see Mobius here in the newest episode. And furthermore, I think that the whole idea of Mobius going to the TVA to quote-unquote burn it to the ground just didn't make any sense and was kind of stupid. He's going to want to help, and furthermore, I think he should have just stayed with the two Lokis, Sylvie and Loki, to kind of defeat the angry cloud thing. It just wouldn't make sense. I mean, how is one dude going to bring down the entire TVA? It just doesn't really make all that much sense. And yes, I know he is pretty high up there in the whole hierarchy of things, but I mean, how do you think the characters are going to feel, though, when they see Mobius just come back there, I guess, quote-unquote, from the dead? It's just really not going to make all that much sense, and they're just going to, I guess, whack him up the head, throw him in a jail cell with the other girl there. And if not that, they're going to really kill him for good. And that's something that was really interesting to see through this new episode, is really what the whole pruning effect actually does and what it is. I mean, it's just kind of an interesting idea. Also, how to see the whole idea of the timeline and the beginning of time and then the very end of time just being one empty, endless void of a lot of nothing. Also, the whole idea of having the big angry cloud kind of, I guess, destroy matter and energy, which is a really interesting concept and answers a lot of questions as well, because how does the TVA actually get rid of things that they do not want to interfere with the sacred timeline or other timelines and multiverses as well. So aside from that, of course, there are different little things that are kind of hidden there in the whole, I guess, quote-unquote void is what it's being called in the entire show there. Of course, there was a little glimpse there at Thanos copter, there was the Yellow Jacket's head, and of course it was like enlarged, or his helmet rather, it was enlarged because presumably I guess that he was the one that turned large or something into Giant Man instead of Ant-Man turning, I guess, big and large, which was really interesting to see. And there's also been, it's not completely confirmed or anything like that, but there was also a whole glimpse at a train that looked very, very similar to the train that we see in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy there with Tobey Maguire, where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man had to stop a train. It looked very, very similar. Of course, it's not confirmed or anything. It just looked pretty similar, and yeah, that whole idea as well. And of course, there's some other things, like we saw Thor's hammer there for a second, and then we also saw Frog Thor as well, kind of trapped there in a jar there underground there as well. And of course, it was really awesome and really interesting furthermore to see all the different variants of Loki interacting with one another. And furthermore, something to kind of clear the air and clear up a little bit, that President Loki scene there, not all of those are actually variants of Loki. I'm pretty sure they're just kind of random scavengers and survivors of the Oasis there and the Void there that are kind of just following his lead there. They're not all different variants of Loki. It's just something I was a little confused about, and I'm not exactly sure. I don't think they're actually all the same variants, or not rather the same variants, but the same, I guess, like person being Loki. Of course, I think they're all different people. They're not actually Lokis. So that's just kind of something to clear the air, because it wouldn't exactly make a whole lot of sense to have Lokis teaming up with Lokis unless it was something good, and it wasn't actually something greedy like President Loki kind of was doing. Of course, his whole scene was kind of, I guess, built up a lot in the trailers and different promos and all of that, but he kind of lived up to the hype a little bit. Of course, it was kind of cool and interesting to see his hand there get bitten off. I mean, honestly, it kind of caught me off guard, because Marvel movies aren't specifically really something to be all that gory there, and it just kind of caught me off guard to really see, oh, his hand just kind of got bitten off, and there's like blood. I mean, blood, I don't really feel like, or like gore like that, is just a big thing in the whole Marvel and MCU spectrum of things and universe of things. And then, of course, like I had mentioned, it was really interesting and pretty awesome and pretty cool to see all the different variants of Loki working together as well. And that leads me on to the theories and predictions segment of the video. Congratulations, you have made it this far into the video. So let's just talk a little bit about here who was there at the end of the overall episode there, who is really in charge of the TVA, who was in the hidden castle there. Of course, the obvious answer has to be King the Conqueror, but no, there's another. What if it is not King the Conqueror? What if it very well is the old, I guess, quote-unquote classic Loki, as he's been being called, is actually in charge of the TVA? What if he is the one that resigns there inside the castle there? Because he did mention it was really interesting to hear his backstory, as well as all the different variants of Loki's backstories as well, of him actually escaping Thanos and just kind of drifting off into space and being a whole lot of nothing. I mean, what if he did the same exact thing there in this episode? What if he just kind of drifted off and back over to his castle there? That there honestly makes a lot of sense, and it's honestly something I really hope doesn't happen, especially seeing all this different hype and I guess maybe even hints there at King the Conqueror actually being the one behind the TVA. It just makes sense. I think classic Loki was awesome. He wasn't really wasted or anything in that manner of things, if you want to say that, but he did play a pretty significant role. I think he was pretty awesome. There's no need to bring him back and make him, I guess, the quote-unquote mystery villain there. It just wouldn't really surprise many Marvel fans. It furthermore kind of disappoint a lot of fans, especially what we saw there in WandaVision with the whole boner and not actually being Quicksilver, or it very well could be Quicksilver. That's just kind of up in the air there. Still, many fans, I think, would be really disappointed if it wasn't actually King the Conqueror, who makes a little bit of an appearance there, kind of, I guess, maybe foreshadowing a little bit of Avengers 5 there, and kind of being the big bad villain for the Avengers 5. Of course, we already know he's set to appear here in Ant-Man 3, Quantumania, but other than that, I definitely want to make a whole separate video there for who I really do think is inside that big castle, who do I think is the big bad villain there, who is really behind the TVA. Of course, I had made a whole separate video on that, but of course, I want to make a whole updated one, in theory, one there for this whole new episode there, and go more in depth there with classic Loki, especially there, guys. I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions on the newest episode of Loki down in the comment section down below. What did you guys think about the new episode? I absolutely loved it, and let me know some of your theories and predictions down there, of course, down in the comment section down below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoy it, as it really does help with the channel, and check out Instagram and official MCU for more Marvel-related content. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.